You!
Money. Money has such a grip on us. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if money didn't have to control or define how we live? See, my journey with money, it's been a little bit of a unique one. My family growing up, we didn't have a whole lot, and one day everything especially shifted. It was the day I was going to the dentist. See, my mom picked me up from 4th grade and she said, "Nathan, we gotta get home." I was like, "Mom, I hate to be the mature one here, but I've got to get to the dentist." And she said, "No, Nathan, something important happened. We have to get home." And so obviously we won't go home. And the first thing I do is I open up the door and I look down into my basement and I see 6 inches deep of water everywhere. A pipe had busted on our main floor and it had leaked for hours. And to me, this looked awesome because it looked like a giant swimming pool. But I didn't know that this water would turn into toxic mold and it would infect my house. And we'd actually end up losing the entire house and most of what was in it. The following 5 months, I was actually technically homeless because my family and we actually had to stay in a hotel for those 5 months. And that experience shaped me. I said, I never want to go back to that point again. So I had to drive. I just wanted as much money as possible. But I also knew that money was fragile and that it could be gone in an instant and it was taken away from me. But isn't this how we are sometimes? We're so conflicted when it comes to money. Like we know that money won't buy happiness, but we buy those shoes because they make us feel happy. Or maybe when we're trying to choose a career, we're actually trying to think about how much money that career will make us, rather than thinking about something that we actually want to do. See, money doesn't solve our problems. It just magnifies what is already within us. Money says a lot about what we value. If people were to look at the way that you spend your money, what would it say that you value? Would it say that you value Jesus? Would it say that you trust Jesus? Or would it tell a different story? See, God didn't want us to have any confusion about what to do or how to view money, so he actually says a lot about it. King Solomon, one of the wisest person ever, actually has a lot to say about money. He says this in Proverbs 8:10 through 11. He says this, he says, "Choose instruction over silver. Choose knowledge rather than choice gold, and wisdom rather than rubies, for nothing can compare with her." See, King Solomon said this, and scholars estimate that if he was living today, he would be worth $2 trillion. Now, I don't even know what that amount of money looks like, but this is somebody who had everything, could buy anything. He could buy that beach home in Malibu, or he could even buy his own private island. And he said that the thing that is most valuable is God's wisdom and his instruction in the way that God does life, something that money can't buy. See, I think Solomon would tell us that money doesn't make us happy. And I see that even true today. Like when I look at celebrities who have all the money, they might look happy on Instagram, but when I look behind the curtain, I see depression, I see anxiety, I see the drive and need to succeed, but I don't see a whole lot of happy people. I've been out of the country a couple of times, and each time it marks me. I think for the very first time I went to Haiti, I didn't really know what to expect. Just for instance, if you didn't know, most Haitians actually live on less than $2 per day. So when I got out of the airport, the sight, I just wasn't ready for. It looked like something out of a movie. Where I was used to seeing concrete streets, I saw dirt pass. I just saw trash everywhere. There were street vendors all on the sides of the roads, and I saw brick buildings without electricity, and I saw homes that were out of mud and sticks. And we're traveling along to our destination, and finally we get there, and the Haitian kids, they're running up, some of them the same age as you. Some of them had shoes and some didn't. Some had dirt all over, some of them had torn shirts, but what they had on their faces were smiles. While they didn't have a lot in their pockets, what they had in their hearts was invaluable. They had a gratitude for life that I just didn't have. And I was honestly jealous of that. And I think it was actually maybe their lack of money, the lack of things that actually made them grateful for what they actually had. They knew that money didn't make them happy. And they knew that their worth wasn't tied to their wealth. In America, we don't always believe this. We think that if you have more wealth, then you are worth more. But what would be enough to feel like you are worth enough? How much money would you need? It's a little bit like goldfish. Now, I love this snack. I've loved it ever since I was a little kid, but when I'm eating goldfish, I can't just eat one. Like, if you can eat one, you're a superhuman to me and you have self-control like none other. But when I'm eating goldfish, I have to eat like the whole box. I eat a little bit and then I just have to have a little bit more and then a little bit more and a little bit more until I've eaten the whole box of goldfish. And then honestly, I just feel a little bit sick. But we do this with money, right? Like, we get a taste of what it feels like to have a little bit money. And then we just need a little bit more. And then we need a little bit more, and we need a little bit more. And then honestly, we just feel sick because nothing was enough to fill us. And we feel the same amount of emptiness that we felt before. We subtly think that our worth is tied to our wealth. Maybe you don't think this is true, but I want you to think back to the first day of school. You've got all of your best clothes on, and maybe you've got your new shoes fresh out of the box, no creases, no scuffs, and you're subtly judging other people's clothes. And then you see somebody else's shoes and they're just a little bit dirtier than yours, and you don't say anything, but subtly you feel better than them because you have nicer stuff. Or what about this? Maybe you go over to a friend's house and you walk in and it's an amazing house. But all of a sudden you're reminded of how much less you have than them. And because you have less than them, you feel less than them. Or what about this? You're walking, or maybe you're driving by and you just overlook the random person on the street, but you're idolizing the celebrity with a lot of money. Guys, it does not matter if somebody was rich or poor. Their worth is not tied to their wealth. In Proverbs 22:2, it says this: the rich and poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them both. See, God is the one who actually tells you how much you are worth, and He says you are worth so much more than any amount of money could offer. How much are you worth? You are worth God coming down to earth in human flesh, dying on the cross, dying the most excruciating death ever. He paid for a debt that no amount of money and no amount of good works could ever pay for on our own. He died. He actually came back to life. And He said, I died so that you could live. I died so that you could know that you are my sons and my daughters, and you wouldn't have to live in this money-driven madness and know that your worth isn't tied to your wealth, but your worth is tied to how much God loves you, and He loves you so much. See, how should this change us? See, if our worth is tied to what God says about us, and Jesus gave us everything He had, I think we should give generously back to God. So I have one final question for you. By the way you spend your money, could people tell that you love and trust God? Maybe one of the next steps for you is you need to start giving a tithe back to God, a percentage of what you make, to say, God, thank you so much for giving to me. I want to thank you, and I want to give back out of the gratitude of what you have given me. Or maybe you're spending most of your money on yourself and you need to start blessing other people. Or maybe you're honestly just saving a lot and you need to trust that God is going to continue to provide for you in the future. Guys, when you know where your wealth comes from, it totally influences every single area of your life, including your finances. You can live a truly rich life by living a generous life. So let's go out there and live a generous life.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for checking out our YouTube channel. We hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to click that bell, subscribe to this channel. You won't regret it. Peace.